The Atlanta Falcons are coming off one of the most successful off seasons that we've seen in a long time, adding 11 potential brand new starters to this team for next season. Offensively, giving the keys to new franchise quarterback Desmond Ritter full-time, but also going out and bringing in a couple of difference makers to this offense, including Bijan Robinson, who they drafted early, Matt Collins, who they signed, Matthew Bergeron, another high draft pick, and also bringing in Jonnu Smith and even Scotty Miller will both have impacts on this team. Now, with that being said, the Falcons completely revamped their defense and are starting to take some big strides in the right direction. Firstly, signing two of the biggest fishes on the market in terms of Jesse Bates and Calais Campbell. However, they didn't stop there. They also added David Onyemata, Bud Dupree, Caden Ellis, Jeff Okudah, the former high first-round pick of the Detroit Lions a couple of years ago, but they also added Clark Phillips, who's been breaking out in camp, and then Zach Harrison, a pass rusher and edge rusher, who they have so much high hopes for, a guy who's only going to, continue to learn behind a guy like Calais Campbell and Bud Dupree and Grady Jarrett. I think Zach Harrison might end up being one of the biggest steals of the draft. Now, every single person that I just named will have a great chance to either be a major factor or even a slight contributor for this team next season. In fact, we just got a first look at what this starting offense should look like under Desmond Ritter, and personally, I came away feeling really good about where this team is headed. Now, in this video, I'm going to be breaking down everything that I saw from the Falcons preseason game versus the Bengals, but more importantly, why I think the Falcons are going to absolutely shock the world and potentially even make some noise in the playoffs next season. However, before we jump into the video, I need you guys to do me a huge favor and smash that like button. Let's see if we can get this video to 500 likes. It helps out the channel so much, so let's see if we can do that. Also, subscribe to the channel if you're new. I will be covering the Falcons all off season long, and I will also be live streaming a ton of Falcons games throughout the season, so make sure you guys come watch some games with me. Join the family, turn on post notifications so you're notified every time we go live for a game, every time we post a video. And lastly, if you play fantasy football and hate being stressed about roster management, who to start, who to sit, then you guys need to check out Underdog Fantasy. Link is in the description. Use my code and they'll double your deposit. And if you want to join some fantasy leagues with me, make sure you guys comment down below right now telling me you guys signed up, and I'll make sure you're in my fantasy draft in just a couple of days from now. But without any further ado, let's jump right into today's video. Now, the preseason game between the Falcons and the Bengals was actually really telling for the Falcons and how good they could be for the upcoming season. Now, Desmond Ritter and all of these young offensive weapons gave a glimpse of what they can do for the Atlanta Falcons next season, especially stud running back Bijan Robinson. Now, there were a bunch of yellow flags that, slowed down their offense and really slowed down the progress of the team throughout this game with the Bengals. However, Ritter still led an impressive but penalty play drive in his preseason debut that eventually led to an interception. Now, I know what you guys are thinking. That's a horrible way to start the preseason. Flags, a pick. It is terrible. I understand. Now, in my opinion, it wasn't completely Ritter's fault. However, at the same time, the ball should have been released a little bit quicker. Should have been there a little bit sooner because it would have been completed. Since he threw it a little bit late, it led to a contested ball that eventually got batted up in the air, and the rest of history ended up being intercepted. But I also do want to point out the fact that Mike Hilton, the DB on the play, who actually batted the ball into the air, he actually made contact a little bit early on the wide receiver, so it easily could have been a pass interference call. But take that how you want it. Bad play by Ritter. Should have got the ball out a little bit earlier, but also could have been a pass interference as well. Now, with that being said, if Ritter and the offense clean up some very minuscule mistakes, this offense actually drove down the field with ease, just couldn't finish it off. We also saw an electric first touch for Bijan Robinson where he made one of the most athletically impressive one-cut moves to avoid the tackler, and that alone made me wonder just how good he could be in his career, because that was amazing to see. Overall, the starting offense looked really well connected, and Ritter did a great job getting his playmakers involved early. London hauled in 2 passes for 33 yards. Robinson carried the ball 4 times for 20 yards, but also snagged in a 6-yard catch. And then you had Kyle Pitts, who's coming off a knee injury. He made an insanely nice one-handed grab as well. But Ritter was quoted after practice saying, "They put playmakers around me. It's up to me to let them go play. I put the ball in their hands." Now, Ritter completed 7 of 9 passes for 80 yards and also broke off a 7-yard run before unfortunately throwing that interception that could have gone either way. But defensively, there was a couple of guys, in my opinion, that actually really stood out for this Atlanta Falcons team. Firstly being Natrone Brooks. He had 6 tackles, a tackle for a loss, and a pass deflection as well. And then another guy who looked really, really good, DeMarco Helms. A late-round draft pick here for the Falcons this season. Believe he was a 7th rounder. Correct me if I'm wrong, but he had 5 tackles, 2 pass deflections, and also came down with an interception as well. And then Caden Ellis, the guy who they brought over from New Orleans, he had 4 tackles. He looked pretty good. Andre Smith had a tackle for a loss. Laquale London had a tackle for a loss. And they just had a bunch of guys that are slowly starting to ramp it up here for them going forward. And I would not be surprised at all if a lot of these guys end up becoming big-time contributors. Even a guy like, Clark Phillips, who's been absolutely lighting up camp right now. Right now, he's listed number 3 on the depth chart at cornerback, or number 4, I should say. But I would not be slightly shocked to see him be a big-time contributor. And even DeMarco Helms, yes, he's behind Jesse Bates, behind Richie Grant, but this is a guy that might demand playing time. If he continues to play this well, if he continues to look this good, I don't see how you don't put him on the field on occasion. So they have a lot of guys looking really, really good, and I'm just excited to see the development of some of not only the young guys, but some of the new guys that they brought on this team, how a guy like Calais Campbell can help Zach Harrison, or how a guy like Jesse Bates can help a guy like DeMarco Helms. So I'm just excited to see the overall development of this team. But overall, even though this game ended in a 13-13 tie with Ritter throwing an interception, I came out of this game with a lot of positive notes. And like I said before, it's about cleaning up the mistakes and moving on to the next play. If the Falcons can do that, the sky is truly the limit for this team, who seems like one of the most improved rosters, in my opinion, going into next season. Now, talent was not the issue. This team has talent everywhere you look, every single position, especially on the defensive side of the ball. There is guys like Calais Campbell, David Onyemata, Grady Jarrett, Bud Dupree, Caden Ellis, Troy Anderson, who is an athletic freak, Lorenzo Carter, Zach Harrison, AJ Terrell, Richie Grant, Jesse Bates, Jeff Okudah, Clark Phillips, D. Alford. I mean, there is so much talent on this team, especially on the defensive side of the ball. I am just so excited to see how good they're going to be. They're young, they're hungry, and they're ready to compete right now. They just need to put it together, build some team chemistry, and hopefully they can be well coached, because I really do think they can shock the world next season if they cut down on the offensive penalties and, Ritter cleans up his mental mistakes and just gets the ball out a little bit quicker. Don't hesitate. Go through your first read and make a play. I feel like he might be in his head a little bit too much, or especially on that throw, I feel like maybe he was a little bit in his head too much, thought about it too much, and it led to an interception. He needs to know, trust your first instinct, and it always will turn out positively. Now, good things are coming for the Falcons. Now, I'm pretty sure this season will be a huge stepping stone for, what's to come in the future for Atlanta. And you know what? If he didn't hesitate on that ball, this would have been would have looked like one of the most unstoppable drives that we've seen in the preseason. I mean, Desmond Ritter looked amazing. Drake London looked amazing. Bijan Robinson looked good. And let's not forget about Cordell Patterson and, all the guys that they have. Yes, they might need some more, depth at wide receiver, but man, do they look good, man. So I'm excited to see what they can do. Guys, let me know how you guys feel about this Falcons team right now. Hit the like button, subscribe if you're new, join the family, turn on post notifications so you're notified not only every time we post a video, but every time we go live for a Falcons game as well. And also comment down below one player you think can absolutely break out here for the Falcons next season. And with that being said, I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace. Brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. And if you love playing fantasy sports like football, basketball, baseball, and so many other sports, but also love being able to win money, you're going to want to stick around for this whole segment. Introducing Underdog Fantasy, the ultimate platform for fantasy sports lovers. Do you want to experience the thrill of drafting your team and competing for huge prizes? Well, look no further. With Underdog Fantasy, you get access to a wide range of fantasy sports, including football, basketball, baseball, and so much more. But here's what makes Underdog Fantasy stand out from all of those other apps. They've got quick and user-friendly drafting process, a unique and exciting game formats, fair and competitive contests for all skill levels, and attractive bonuses and promotions. Not only can you draft teams and compete with others, but you can also play a game of higher and lower, which is personally my favorite thing to do on there, but you can potentially win 20 times the money you put down. And if you use code MattyDubs when you sign up, Underdog will match your first deposit up to $100. And what that means is basically when you deposit, let's say $100, they'll give you a free $100 to use and play with. Click the link in the description to get started, or head to the website right now to start dominating the fantasy world. And don't miss out on all the fun. Be a part of the Underdog community starting now. And don't forget, if you use code MattyDubs, they'll match your first deposit up to $100. Let's get started. Get into drafts with me starting today.